Hi, everybody.
Hey,
Hi,
can you see
hi
me
there. How
fine?
are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Welcome. Welcome. I think we're getting people.
Okay, yeah.
People are starting to move. I don't know. So, how are you doing? Hi, Georgiana.
Yeah, I'm doing well. How are you? I'm just, right now just like it feels like there's just been kind of like with this energy, it's not really consistent, but it's kind of just like up and down right now. And we're in
Yeah, all
eclipse
over
season, which we're
the
going to talk
place.
about today.
Yeah, all over the place. Kind
Yeah,
of. That's
yeah.
how I feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
certain things just come up out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden it's like a burst of energy, but then it's like something else comes out of nowhere, and then it's like kind of up, and it's kind of like a Mars Neptune kind of feel, you know? Right.
Yes. Yes. But we have a Moon and Neptune connection tonight, so kind of it's a prelude to that.
Absolutely.
Kind of.
Um,
Yeah. Okay, so I just want to introduce you for anybody who's alive or listening after. I want to thank you, Sid,
okay.
for coming. Sid from Golden Ram 31. He's an amazing astrologer. He has Ayurvedic experience as well. And we were talking about, what to talk about today. And since we are in the middle of eclipse seasons, I think this is the best thing to talk about. What are eclipses? Why are people afraid of them? Why are they so powerful? And everything else. So cool. So yeah, you start.
Oh,
Tell me.
sure.
First of all, let's see for people what is the difference between lunar and solar eclipse, because people always ask what is the
Okay, sure.
difference.
That's the basic question. So
Yeah.
a solar eclipse is when there's a new moon on the nodal axis. So like a supercharged new moon because the node is there. And the
Mm-hmm.
lunar eclipse, like, and we just had a solar eclipse in Aries, like the sign of new beginnings.
Yeah.
Um, and then a lunar eclipse, the one that we're about to have in May 5th, is when you have a full moon on the nodal axis. And so
Mm-hmm.
there, when the sun gets at least within the 15 degrees of either node, we're enter eclipse season, which we're in right now. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, so what's interesting, I guess, like I'll start with this, is that like with this, we had the solar eclipse in Aries, which was kind of it was a new moon in Aries. It was the second new moon in Aries, and it was on the north node side because the north node was close by.
Yes.
So a lot of kind of things were sparked with that eclipse to the point where we're having these things about like we're wanting to take that new step into that new direction of our life right away, right? Even though we can't go right away, it's like we have that kind of energy. That's what north node side eclipses are associated with more, is like the new energy anyways. And then what's coming up is the lunar eclipse is going to be on the south node side. And what's interesting is both of these eclipses are well, the first one was ruled by Mars, and this second one in Scorpio it's co-ruled by Mars. And so that this Mars in Cancer is kind of like a central figure in
Yeah,
in what's going on right now.
I know. And Mars in Cancer is not actually happy, let's say.
Sure.
So it's more emphasized in that way. Yeah. So you would say, like, for example, so the new moons are like a new things, new beginnings are powerful, and for the full moon, for the solar eclipse, for the lunar eclipse, are more closing energy, right? Something is ending. Would you say
Yes,
that?
absolutely. And usually with like for example, this lunar eclipse that's coming up in Scorpio, we can look. It's about 6 months, right? So we can look back 6 months and what was going on 6 months ago. We had that November 2020. You remember the surprise in the U.S.
Yes.
election? Then we had the FTX scandal, and so I mean, I know these events to kind of like put it as a placeholder for like personal memories and stuff. So like whatever was going on in that part of your life at that time, like you probably had a revelation then, because I think that was a solar eclipse in Scorpio. And so now it's
Yeah.
kind of like the beginning of the end. So like clearing out. So the next 6 months are kind of about like the clearing out of the unpleasant stuff from there. And we're dealing with fixed water here, right? So it's Scorpio. So a lot of
I know, yeah. So people can think about what happened in the last 6 months. What were they going through? What was triggered in November, and then now it's going to kind of be a closure energy of that, right? So I know it's very hard, if you don't know your charts, it's very hard to tell you what area of life it's going to hit. But in general, for example, all Tauruses and Scorpios are going to be hit more because of the sun placements, right? So
absolutely.
would you say that?
So all I would add to that is that the the second half of 2023 is going to be the rebuilding of that Scorpio phase of your life, like whether it's like your house placement, like whatever that means for you, like because you have to have a clearing out before you can add the new stuff, right? So that's kind of what's going on. And like with this Mars in Cancer, like you said, it doesn't really like being here because Mars likes to move direct. However, being forced to be in this sign of Cancer where it's forced to swim with all these like yucky emotions and stuff that are like popping up that we didn't even know was there, that's facilitating this process. And that's why right now it's kind of integral to kind of just like when you need to rest, just rest. I tell people that like to not take as much caffeine during this eclipse season or whatever, because it can mess with you right now, because right now is the time that Mars in Cancer is helping, because ultimately it's gonna give way to this co-rulership of the Scorpio, which is like both that, and then Pluto's stationing retrograde is going to further facilitate that. So
it's going to be very, very emotional. So for people who don't speak astro lingo, I know the lunar eclipse that it's coming is going to be very highly emotional one. Like it's going to be a lot of water, so it's going to be the emotions are going to be stirred up. So people can in general feel it more on the emotional level, right? Would you say that?
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think another reason for that is like, so when we talk about like solar eclipses, what's happening there is that like the moon is blocking the sun, right? So the moon has more power there, and that's why we have more like the emotional realm coming out, like with this the solar eclipse that we did, and then with the lunar eclipse that's coming up, it's like the moon's light is blocked because the Earth is between the moon and the sun, because it's like a full moon. So because of that, we get a little bit disconnected from our emotional selves, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we go into like the rational logical space, but we can feel a bit out of sorts because that intuitive insight is not there for us to draw upon. And while at that same time, it's like purging of a lot of like these things that have surfaced that like we really we didn't want to deal with them. We were hoping they would just go away on themselves, but they didn't. So like
they did,
right?
Yeah.
So they're confronting
they
us
never go. Yeah. So and then we're going to have the last one in this axis, Scorpion Taurus in this fall, and then it's ending completely this cycle. So for people who don't know this very well, we have like 3 or 4 eclipses between 18 months, right? In the same signs, they're coming back and forward, and then then it's going to switch, right? So from this Taurus and Scorpio, we're going to have Aries and Libra then. So it's going to be a lot about relationships and stuff. This time was a little bit about resources and money. Like you can see, even the inflation and, the Bitcoin collapse and stuff, it's all connected with this, like on a global level, right?
Yes,
Would you say that?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people realize that with that crypto and like the FTX and Bitcoin stuff from that November, right? Remember when it like crashed?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then you're right. Like we with this Aries new solar eclipse, we just got a spark of it, but like we'll have time to kind of integrate that with because the nodes move backwards, right? So like it's going to switch to like, it's still going to be Mars and Venus, I guess, but in a different lens, right? Like now it's more yang, because like it switches from yin to yang. Like Taurus and Scorpio are yin signs, kind of, so it's more emotional, internal, and then Aries and Libra are more yang.
I'm thinking about food. You know how for the inflation, how food went up. Like food is also comfort. That's so Taurus and Scorpio. You have food for comfort, and it was some people it was hard to get some food, like economy and inflation. So it's all about not getting that comfort, emotional comfort also through food, right? So just like a side note on that. I mean, we can interpret, many ways, but I just want to tell people it's not just on a personal level, it's on global level, and it's hitting us this was our resources and our inner fears, even, for Scorpio, digging deep, um, resolving some fears and issues from, buried deep inside, right? Cool. So tell me, historically, how people were actually afraid of this lunar and solar eclipses, remember, imagine living back in the day, and then you're like, oh my God, all of a sudden there's no light, no heat. Like, that's why people think they're very powerful. So how can we interpret this today?
Okay.
How can we
Okay.
interpret this today?
To talk about that, yeah, there were many rituals around how to appease the fact that basically the sun was eating the moon, or the moon was consuming the sun, right? And that visual experience of suddenly losing light in the middle of the day. And also, the cultural overlay of trying to intimidate and control the masses by instilling fear in the eclipses. But like the bottom line is that it's the eclipses are about the sun and the moon, and like the perfect synchronicity of like distance and size coming together and aligning together in a way that they're like all married together with the earth. So yes, we lose light, but it is in every ceremony. What's actually happening with this alignment is that you're opening the gates. We're entering a portal. And when you have the right configuration, it's kind of like when you have a key that unlocks the gate. And once these gates are open, what goes through the gate, you have access to something that is beyond this material realm. And so beyond the density of like our egoic consciousness. So there's a transmission that happens during the eclipses that is beyond our control and beyond our conditioning. And that's where the fear comes in, because it's like, and there's different beliefs around manifesting and all that stuff, because there's a part of this where it's kind of like, there's a pause. So like in our regular activity on earth, because there's something that's like guaranteed to happen to us. That's why they say it's like fated, kind of, right? Because of that,
yes.
Like, it's like that gate that we're in. So right now it's like a period of high activation, and things tend to happen more rapidly during these eclipses, like things that you've been waiting for, confirmations. Like when you look back on the year, it's always around these eclipse times that like the most notable most notable events happen. And so like the lunar eclipse is kind of like the season finale of a series, right? So the characters are in a climax of some sort, and all these human affairs are in full swing. And so that's the thing.
I like it.
Yeah, right? Like it's perfect with this thing, with the water stuff, like Mars in Cancer trining Neptune, or Mars in Cancer trining the South Node, I think, in Scorpio, right? Yeah, and then Neptune in Pisces. They're not an exact grand trine configuration anymore, but they were earlier. So we can still use that kind of water energy to help with processing and facilitating and releasing like the deeper emotions.
So what would you suggest or advise other people? Do you manifest or not during these eclipses? Because they always, some people say that it can go both ways. If you manifest something and wish for, it can go, powerful on the bad side as well. What do you feel about it? How do you feel about that theory? You know how usually you have manifestations for new moons, you set intentions, right?
Sure.
So should we set intentions or not during eclipses?
I set intentions during eclipses. I mean, yes, the undercurrent kind of, like I heard from like another person that, you're trying to light a match, but like it's in a wildfire. So you don't want to like burn yourself in the process. So often like, in the East, like we do, often there's like mantras and rituals that people do during eclipse period. But basically, and just to carry on to that other example, I mean, what I was talking about a little while ago, like it's kind of like during eclipse season, if you put a blindfold on, like if with blindfolds, like you don't have light, and many things are changing around you because of that divine intervention that's occurring during this portal. And so when you remove the blindfold, like after eclipse season is over, you realize that you're in a completely like new archetypal field in many ways, and you're just like, whoa, where did this come from? I'm living a completely new reality now, in a sense, right? So that's why. And also, one last thing about that fear thing is that, like, in the old days, we didn't necessarily have ways of tracking these, like, like I mentioned, the 6 months thing, or like with solar eclipses, they last a little longer. So now we can manage this stuff better and see it. So like, and also, I mean, like Pluto and Aquarius, Age of Aquarius kind of vibe, we all have more power now, right? So these were also like
Mm-hmm.
tactics used to control the masses to the extent that they could, because even like the people in
Ah,
power couldn't always control during eclipse time. So that's why they were scared too, because people always like to control things, right?
yes, we have to remember that people could not write or read or do anything. Only it was only for privileged, right? So only the privileged people who, and then they would tell the masses what is happening, and
Right.
everybody would just blindly believe. In these days, thank God, we are all able to, to get our knowledge and our conclusions for ourselves. Yeah, I always also say that set intentions, no matter what, even if they're powerful or not, you have to believe it's going to be good. And sometimes you need to release, sometimes you need to go through bad stuff and purge so you have make place for new, better things, right? That's just circle of life.
Yeah, and
So
I would also say that like during eclipse times, the emotions are more charged, and like that's when we
yeah.
take effective action sometimes, right? It has to, it's
Mhm.
something that moves us, like drives us to take the action. And on other times we're just chilling or whatever, you know? Um,
Yeah, I just feel that we need to be aware that we might not be in control 100%.
mhm.
So just don't go on a killing spree. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Like
yeah,
if
yeah.
you feel
Oh,
okay,
absolutely.
yeah,
Like
just
yeah, and so
kind
yeah,
of.
when I say it's that's why it's kind of a it's I can't give a simplistic answer to like should we manifest or not.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
because it's a little bit complicated. Because I'm not trying to encourage people to just like go crazy with these emotions that are coming up
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Don't do that. Like especially with Mars and Cancer, it's like you can use it like productively right now to purge some of those like what you need to purge with those emotions. Just develop that emotional body with the Mars and Cancer, because the Mars and Cancer can't move forward because Cancer moves sideways, right? So like when you're moving sideways in that water puddle, it's like you're being enmeshed with these emotions, but like you can, instead of like you know thinking of that negatively, you can use that productively to like um to like for example this.
Think about I'm thinking about Cancer. My 3-year-old, he always goes pinch, 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 right?
Yeah,
So you think about that energy when your emotions got fired up, you can
yeah,
just pinch for no reason, right? So I just feel that if we are aware, like if we are aware of this, then we can have some kind of control. If we don't know what's happening, then we are just going, why is this happening? But I always feel that that's why I like to educate people on this. So look, you might feel less of control, might overwhelmed, you might feel this, but if you know it, then you know what's going on. If you don't know it, you go ballistic sometimes, right?
and that's why
Yeah.
like
So
and it's a good time right now that we're in Taurus season, which is about grounding and stabilizing and just like
absolutely.
integrating all that information right now. And tomorrow I think Mars and Cancer squares Chiron and Aries, which is interesting because
Hmm.
for one, like we were just talking about how to like process these emotions. A lot of like past memories might be coming up that you didn't even remember for a while, and you're like, oh wow, that's still there, and it's still causing me to feel like wounded.
Yes.
And so like
Yes.
so yeah, so like working with that, and it's complicated because Chiron and Aries is being ruled by that Mars in Cancer, because Mars rules Aries. And so
Hmm.
it's like it brings that like square to like basically to its utmost level, like I was saying earlier about like
It's hard to let
yeah,
go. So Cancer,
yeah,
yeah, they have a hard of letting go. You know how they tend to, they're very nostalgic. They want to be in the past. They don't want to let go of past. So this Mars might don't will maybe stop you to let go of some things, but then you have to. That's the whole point of this full moon and stuff, to let go of the stuff, even if it's hard. If they don't serve a purpose anymore, kind of, you have to make place for new stuff. Yeah, I understand, and I like it that it's in Taurus. You said it gives us some kind of stability and groundedness, so we don't go over the top, right? So it's good. It's better than the one the solar eclipse in Aries. I feel that was very feisty,
yeah.
right?
Well, and yeah, those can like you said, those Cancer's waters are allowed to like ebb and flow because it brings up and yeah, it is facilitating the purging of those emotions, but also like with Taurus right now, we have the Sun and Uranus there, and it's also about like and Uranus is actually a key
And
thing.
Mercury. Don't forget,
Yeah,
Mercury
yeah.
retrograde is in Taurus as well.
Well, right,
Yeah,
but
we
like
have it.
but with the Sun Uranus, it's kind of like asking you to break out of
Mhm.
your comfort zone, because like Taurus is basically the comfort zone if you think about it, like basically, I think like Scorpio is like our internal processing unit, and like Taurus is
Yes.
what's basically you see, like when you open your eyes. Basically, it's what's coming to you like through your senses, right?
Mhm.
So, with this eclipse, well, anyways, yes. I mean, I don't want to go into that unless you want to go into that.
No, no, it's okay. But I'm thinking, now that you mentioned Uranus and its sun, I always think of that song by Queen. I want to break free. You know,
Oh
just I
yeah,
want
yeah.
to break free, and no matter what, right? So you might, yeah. So some of you might feel that you want to break free from old patterns, old emotional, you know, clinginess. So it might be helpful. I think that Uranus actually might help during this lunar eclipse. Many people. I don't know. I feel it can go both ways, but I feel that sometimes Uranus. I like Uranus. I'm a Gemini. I'm so used to change. I love
Mhm.
it. So I don't know, but it can go both ways, right? It can go to being something dramatic or chaotic, or I know some people don't like change, so it's hard sometimes, to change things. But eclipses are always a good, right, good time to actually make that change. You know, if you don't make a change, something will force you from outside to do it,
Oh,
right? So you'll be forced anyway.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, like
yeah, cool.
absolutely. Like that, the eclipses are the times to like embrace and be ready for like that new chapter. Because I mean, they take away things in your life, but they also bring new things. Like you could meet someone like during this time who ends up like the
Mhm.
love of your life. Like it's really deep encounters during this time period. And I mean like I said, the blindfold example. Remember, like it's like if you once you remove the blindfold after eclipse season, you're living a completely new life. You're not even the same person that you were before. I mean, even though you have those memories, and you know, so that's.
We can go. I don't know if you're up to it. We can go quickly through the houses if for the sun signs. Are you up for it? Just quickly, what people can expect.
Sure, you
Like
can
for
do it, and
Tauruses, it's gonna be in the
I'll
first
add
house.
like
Hmm?
other details if you want, like, or is that okay?
Yes, please. Yes, yes. So let's go. I'll say so. Taurus. So the lunar eclipse is going to be in their first house. It's going to be about themselves and how they change, and even physically, not just the mindset. Like it's going to be about personal changes. What would you add for Taurus people?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think with that, because with that Aries solar eclipse that just happened, like it triggered so many 12th house things, and like they're
Hmm.
getting flighty and jumpy. So yeah, but they're basically starting their new like embracing this new beginning for them. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And then if we have Scorpio on the other side, so it's about seventh house, it's about relationships. So they probably might have some old stuff, old relationship patterns coming in, or thinking about changing the way they, new people, old people coming in and out of their lives. What do you say
Yeah, I mean,
for
yeah,
Scorpions?
yeah, and like they've kind of already have had such a tough few years. I feel like
Yeah,
so yeah, I agree with that.
cool. Then you have, if you go after Taurus, you have Geminis. So it's going to be 12th house. We're going to
Gemini.
backwards. Are we going
Oh,
backwards?
sure. If whichever way you want to go, I don't care.
No, but how? I'm just thinking which house we will hit. If Taurus, so for Gemini, it's going to be the 12th house, right?
Gemini, yes.
Right. So Gemini is going to go through. The Taurus is going to be in their 12th house, right? If the Gemini is the first, which I'm just going thinking about solar, like sun sign chart. If the ascendant is a Gemini, so it's going to be going through the 12th house. So for Gemini suns, it could be something, yeah, of subconscious changes, the way they think, they might need more solitude, and deep inside information, right? What would you say for Geminis? What would they
Yeah,
experience?
and also it's like 12th and 6th house. So like it's a new beginning in
Yeah.
terms of like something that could be like like a refreshing new start for like your work routine, like workout routine, or some health thing that you might have they've been going through. Like they can start anew there, I would say. And then yeah.
And for so for Sagittarius as well, they're going to have, some changes in the workplace or doing for health as well, and diet. I always say that it's good if this axis is hit, it's always good to maybe change your diet or think about changing your diet. I always think
Which
about
axis is that? Are you talking about like so
12-6, 12-12-6.
Oh, okay. Yeah, oh, absolutely. Because with that one, it's about service in different ways. So yeah, you can get six. You're talking about from sixth house, right? Right, like diet.
Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking, you know how
Absolutely. I mean,
when you do a solar chart, like for the solar, when you do a sun sign chart, you always put the that sign on the ascendant as the first house. So if Gemini is the first house, then Taurus eclipse is going to be the 12th. And then for Aries, if the Aries is on the ascendant, then they're going to be hit with this lunar eclipse on the second and eighth house. So it's going to be about their self-value and finances and shared resources. So
paying off debts.
Aries and Libra. Hmm?
Also, like eighth house, paying off debts. I would say, like, go ahead and do what you
Yes.
need to do so you can like fully embrace that new beginning that was just started, right? Because Aries is going through like a big transformation this year. So I mean, like, you get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
house
Think about investment
investment.
as well. Think
Yeah,
about investment as
yeah,
well.
absolutely.
You know, if something is shaky, don't try to wrap it up so you don't have losses if possible, because the market is very crazy these days. What about Virgo? Okay, Virgo. If Virgo is the first house, then Taurus. I have to so my math. So it's gonna be Leo, Cancer. It's gonna be ninth. So ninth and third, right? So for Virgo, it's gonna be the ninth and then third.
So
So it's going to be about education,
yeah,
communication,
your
even
your
siblings
your your
or
common neighborhood, your cousins, like you get siblings.
I wouldn't travel. Right for Virgos, for in Pisces, I wouldn't travel for during this eclipse. I wouldn't travel at all. But for this eclipse, especially, it can be something wrong by traveling, even locally or
Yeah,
right
no,
as
absolutely.
well.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's new
Yeah,
beginnings in these sectors of your lives. So yeah, if you um yeah.
yeah. Just be careful. So who's left? So Leos are gonna have 10 house and 4 house. So for Leos and for Aquarians, it's going to be about career and home environment, some changes in that area. Um, See also some ancestrally stuff, right? For the 4 house, how we do ancestors and what's happening, with that heritage and, some things from the past, some secrets. Scorpio is about secrets. So you might see secrets coming up as well at workplace or at home. What do you feel? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you think about like the fourth house I see, and like and having Scorpio there, I could see some like unpleasant like revelations coming out in that sector, or something with like your family, or like like I see is more personal, but like fourth house stuff in general. And then like like what I was gonna say earlier with this example is that like the 10th house, fourth house, 10th house thing is like if you have okay, I lost my thought there. Okay, and continue, or maybe it'll come.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, how it can be some family
Oh, okay,
drama or crisis.
okay. Here's
That's
what I'm
what
saying.
Scorpio is
So
about.
like
There.
normally you would say, because the like let's use that example. So like the moon in Scorpio, with the lunar eclipse in the fourth house, in the 10th, normally you would say, okay, some craziness going on in your fourth house, but like in your 10th house, you would normally go to stabilize because Taurus is there, right? Except you can't do that this time because Uranus is up there with the sun. So you have to expect
Mhm.
some shakeups with this, even with that, with regards to your profession, career, what you're doing. Like 10th house is also like how the other people perceive you, right? Like fourth house is more of our own secrets, and then 10th house is like work life, kind of like it's associated with career because that's when that's what people often
You see
associate
it,
with you,
where
right?
you
So
see
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, but it can be many other things as well.
Right.
So you have a question, where can we travel for Virgo? I would recommend for anybody to travel after the eclipse, but there's also like a few days after until the moon is still in Scorpio. Don't go anywhere until it switches to Sag is maybe better. But if you can avoid all the travel until Mercury goes direct on May 14, 15, then I would say yes. Um, so Cancer, Scorpio, when can Cancer? So this is only for yeah. So it depends where will this eclipse hit you. So for Cancerians, it will hit 11th, 11. No, for Cancer, yes. So if Cancer is the first house, then it's gonna hit 11th and 5th. So it's gonna be more about friends and community and creativity and children. So it can be something in those areas. Like don't gamble, for example. If it's hitting your fifth house, I wouldn't go to a casino for sure because you can lose a lot of money. What would you say? What would you say about fifth and 11th house axis?
Yeah, like it's about you know, your personal creativity versus like the community. I would say like with the fifth and 11th, they're really good sectors actually. So I would say there's a you know, make endings in this good areas of your life so you can like enjoy good things. Like I don't know if that's right.
It can be a creative breakthrough, right? You
Yeah,
can have like a creative breakthrough idea with Uranus there. Like, oh, you know, something, you
or
know,
like
totally unusual.
romantic or something like there too, you know, like with the fifth and 11th. Like I see some new beginnings for sure in a good way for like those for Cancer rising. Like if they can work
Nice.
with, and they're already working with this tough, you know, Mars in their sign right now, Mars in Cancer. So it's kind of it'll be a good thing. Like it'll be worth it in the end. Like just keep going, right?
Yeah, just be like overall advice would be just be careful. Just be aware that this, you know, and just don't get into the fuss. Just, you know, try to stay and observe and don't get wrapped up in this energy. You know, if you're aware of it, that's always, you know, if you see drama around you or something, just try to calm down. You know,
Yeah.
eclipse season is going to pass, right? You never know what's happened. It depends on your charts, right? Where it's hitting you, or is it, especially if you have north nodes there, so it can be something significant for those charts, right? So tell me more about nodes. What are nodes and how they affect this, and why are they important, and what do they mean in astrology?
Well, the nodes are actually the points where, so you have the moon that goes around the earth, and then you have the earth that goes around the sun, right? Like those are two different motions, right? Because you know, the when they intersect, like when they're not two different motions, that's when we have an eclipse. And the nodes are kind of like that um and that's why this is like that celestial gate where like this eclipse season occurs, is because ultimately, I mean, I believe that the nodes are about like balance. And so like north node, you know, increases and then south node decreases, but that's a very simplistic way to look at it. Ultimately, the reason the north node is such an increase is because it wants you to balance. Like I'm giving an example of someone that has like a south node and a north node. Like you always have to look at both polarities. There's no such thing as a magnetic monopole, right? Everything is always in like north south,
Yes.
right? So just like that, you got to think about the node. But like it's like if you've had many past life, or if you believe in this, like if you had many past life experiences in the south node realm, you mastered that. But like the north node is unfamiliar to everyone at first, right? But you, that's where you get the fruits of life, basically, because that's why you basically were born here, is to absorb that. However,
that's your life purpose. Yeah.
yeah, but however,
So
after
following
you get
north
that, you
node
have to
kind
go
of
back to the south node and reintegrate. You can't just be like, oh, just get rid of, purge everything south node stuff, right?
no. Yeah, no.
So yeah.
But it's pulling you back. So it's always pulling. So you kind of take, in the way I see it, take the best out of it and move forward. You know, don't deny it or ignore it, or so that's why it's also, so that's why when, especially if the nodes are connected with your personal chart, it can be something that was destined to be, or sometimes I do feel that we have something destined, but we can always have a free choice of how we're going to manifest it and how we're going to react it and how we're going to implement it in our lives. But some things are they written in the stars, right?
No, absolutely.
For sure.
And I would say that those things are supercharged during these eclipse times. I'm actually having my nodal return like right in a month, or like this is my nodes too. So it's funny that like
Wow, so
right?
that's very special for you.
Yeah.
Oh!
No, but yeah, no, absolutely. Like there's, you know, I obviously I believe in free will, but like there are times where like, you know, fate has its things about like, okay, at this time, like, you know, we call it time, these things are going to coalesce necessarily, you know? And so that's kind of what, so yeah, I agree that like, with what you just said.
Yeah, cool. No, I think it's going to be, so the whole point of this conversation, guys, was just to make you aware of this is coming, and, just to pay attention and don't get into the, all rumbled up about it, you know, kind of take deep breath, it shall pass. We'll see how everybody's talking about coronation of King Charles in England. It's on the after the few days after the, or a day after the eclipse. So how is that going to go? What's going to happen? Like everybody's brewing about that.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah. I
see.
mean, the royal
I mean,
family always, like, I think that's like, because, you know, traditionally they always had their astrologers and stuff. So like astrology's always had a rich history in connection with the royal, studying the royal family. So that's why a lot of people like use examples when they're like analyzing charts and stuff, because it's so readily available, and it's so easy to see the effects of astrology when you do that, right? So
yeah, yeah. Sounds good. I think, do you have any final thoughts or words about the eclipse season?
just
Before we
like
wrap it up.
if you're confused and you don't know what's going on right now, and random
Mhm.
things are happening, just sit with it. And it's tourist season, so I say go outside and just like go barefoot on the dirt, and just like
Mhm.
absorb the earth's energies right now. Let trust the integration process, because North Node in Taurus is that comfort zone, and it's gonna take us out of that comfort zone a little bit, but ultimately it's about integration. And so like and
Yes, and
for this new
since yeah,
so,
I just have to another note on that. I would great suggestion going to nature,
mhm.
you know, but especially if you are able to be by the water, because we're gonna have so much water in
Sure,
it.
yes.
Sit by the water, just look at the horizon, you know, and just if you can be near water, I would recommend anybody, you know, just sit by the water. You don't have to meditate, just look, you know, disconnect from technology and just look in the water for a few minutes. I think it will do you a lot of good, you know, to get in tune with what's coming and how you feel and stuff. Yeah. I always like to hug a tree, and
Yeah,
people are always laughing at me, but I love to hug a tree. I think it's a good thing to
yeah.
do. Feels
It,
like if you're connected, right?
no,
To connect with nature. Yeah, cool, cool. Oh, thank you so much, Sid, for this. I
yeah,
appreciate your time.
absolutely.
I know you're busy. Thank you very much. This was so much fun. Thank you guys for joining. And hopefully, if you don't follow Sid, please go follow him. He has tons of great astro, and not astro, bunch of other information that is connected with astrology that I love to follow. How astrology manifests into the real world, like all your stories and stuff. So go follow Sid, and thank you very
Thank you.
much. And I hope we can do this
Yeah,
again
no,
soon, sometime, right?
absolutely. And I'm excited because I have like new webinars coming, and I'm working on a course and stuff. So just if you follow me,
Yes, tell me more.
I'll put it all on
Yeah, tell me more
Instagram.
about that.
So I'm sorry. Oh yeah. So I actually am working on like this course on Eclipse Sorrow series, which connects it to like other like past lives, basically. Like
Okay. Cool.
it goes really in depth into this eclipse stuff, like much more than what we touched on here.
Yeah, we just scratched the surface.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
but yeah, but thank you for having me, and I appreciate like
No, no, please go follow Sid for his new workshops and everything. You can learn a lot from him. So thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe, stay calm, go to nature. You heard everything. Have a good eclipse season. Bye,
goodbye.
everybody.